Hi guys, so today I got the CX750M power supply installation video. It is a semi-modular power supply, 750 watt from Corsair with an 8-pin CPU, 24-pin motherboard and all these other connections here. So all you need for this really is a screwdriver. You can use zip ties if you want. So actually in this video I've got a bonus. I'm going to show you how to uninstall the power supply unit as well. So here's my current rig. It's got an 850 watt in there. So first what you want to do is take off both sides of the case, which I've done here. This side's a little bit more dusty, oh well, but as you can see I've got SSD down there, and there's just a bunch of connections here that you might have in your PC. So if we start with the basics of making sure the system's off, already done so, and then unplugging the power cables. Easier to do it from PSU first, because then you won't forget any. Oh God. This one is fully modular, so it's really quite a pain. So unplug them all. Now, for most systems, if you're replacing the power supply unit, it's probably not fully modular, so you won't have to do this. All you'll have to do is this step here, where you take out the power cables from up here. So this is the graphics card. These use PCIe cables. They come in a 6+2 format, so 6 for sure, and then you add 2 on in case the device requires it. And then you want to take out the motherboard power cables, which is really stiff, but it's 24 pins, so you've got to understand that that is going to be rather difficult. You've got to remember to pull this clip down on the side here. There's a clip on one side. You click on that and it'll do it. And for one of the people asking in the videos, they said there's not one pin present on one of the things. Well, there isn't. There is not one slot present on the motherboard. However, all 8 on the CPU are present. You can see here. Let me just bring it in. See, but this one, there's one missing. You see right through. See my thumb? Huh. So now that all the cables are free and loose, apart from one up in the CPU. Now that is up in this corner. It's up here. Now, not gonna lie, that was a bitch to put in. But I will, for you guys, I'll do it. Now, it might be easier at this point to turn it around, just to give it a bit of slack, because as you can see, my power cables go all the way up here. So what we want to do is pull the CPU one through. This gives it a little bit more slack. Push it out, there we go. Nice and nice. And then, with you guys watching, you go up there and just like the motherboard. Oh God, this is a nightmare. Just like the motherboard. I think, you know what, I think I used my girlfriend to put this in when I built this, because I was like, my hands are too big. But I've done it, and just like the motherboard, it's just a little clippy thing here which you have to push, and that is the CPU. And that really, unless you have proprietary connectors, so in this instance I do, but that is the main parts of everything here. You have your hard drive. Ooh, that's dusty. That's hella dusty. Look at that. You have proprietary connector here. So this is every. I used to do Molex, but we're actually moving across to SATA now, just because it's a little bit cleaner, and the pins are like, they're not loose. Basically, it's a better standard overall. So disconnect that. That's for my CPU water cooler, and then do this for the SSD. You might have this for hard drives as well. So that's the SATA one done. There we go. See, cool. I actually got requested to put together a power supply, not to take one away, but you know, it's 2 in 1 here. See, now I'm having a problem, so before you just yanking it, it's always best to have a look at what's happening. And actually, it's better for it to go this way, because there's 2 heads on this side, a little bit of pain in the back side. And then finally the motherboard connector. Once again, check, make sure, and I tell you what, I'm glad I checked, because that was holding on my graphics card. That could have been nasty. So, all of the old cables from the old system are now out. Next step, take the power supply unit out. Now that's pretty easy. Like I said, all you need is a screwdriver, and just to show you guys even better, I'm using one from a Swiss Army knife here. So you really don't need anything fancy to do this. You just undo the screws. So I'll quickly take it down here to show you. Undo the screws on the back of the power supply unit, located here, 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 and here. Obviously, it's a little bit better if you have a better screwdriver. That is a dedicated screwdriver, not just something like this. But you don't need to. I would recommend that you keep touching something which is earthed, like unpainted part of a radiator. That always helps, because you are playing with static here, really, especially if you're doing a carpet like I am. But nowadays, unless because most PCBs are painted and most components are covered, or whatever the case may be, the chance of static shock has reduced. So you should be alright, but really you should be touching something earthed, just in case. So there we go, almost done now. Last one. So 4 screws. Now typically they're very bespoke for that particular power supply unit. So here they're really small. On the other one they're not so small. They're pretty big. On this CX750M, this is the one that I found with it. I did salvage this power supply unit out of my brother's case. Surprisingly, he had the same one as me. So yeah, who'd have thought? Here we go. And now it's just a case of wiggling it out, making sure everything's good. And this is the old power supply unit. At this point, if it still works, keep it. Mine does. I'm going to reinstall it after this video. But if it doesn't work, then throw it in a good fashion, i.e. don't be a moron and just put it in your local bin. Put it in a specialised electronics bin, because there's, you could even sell it to like some sort of electronic scrapping company, because they would use it quite happily. So now for this one, just because of where the motherboard and CPU power come from, they come from this hole. Oh, a little bit too high. I'm gonna flip it so the fan is face down, and so the cables are easy to get to for these. Okay. Now only do this if your case has ventilation at the bottom, which mine does. If you don't do it, you suffocate your power supply unit, and you could have PSU failure there. It could cause a fire. There's many things. I'd hope it wouldn't cause a fire, but it depends what environment you live in, really. I'm just going to reroute one of these cables. Actually, I'm just going to push it out of the way. Okay, here we go. And one of the first things is basically the opposite of what we've just done. Apart from this won't sit in properly. This one not sitting properly. Come on, there we go. Snug fit. So, reverse of what we've just done. So grab your 4 screws. Usually comes with a case. It comes with a computer case, or it will come with the power supply unit. Sometimes both. A quick sip of coffee, and then you find the screw holes for it. So in this case, they are bottom left, bottom right, top right, and top middle left. These different holes, but most cases accommodate for almost every type of power supply unit. They usually do it based on where the insides of the electronics are, like where they'll be located. So it was the best idea to do a cross pattern. So actually I'm just going to take the screw out and redo it. I'm not actually even showing you guys. Jesus, push it away a little bit. There you go. Can you see that? Yeah, cool. So I put one in. So it's located there, 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 and there. And you put them in a cross format. I was almost just about not to do that again. See now, at the moment, the case is pushing on my power supply, it's pushing it back. So you guys might find a little bit of resistance with this, but power supply units are usually pretty robust. So you can have a fair old amount of whack with it before it dies. And actually, Corsair's more premium power supply units like this one here. I've watched a video on it online where people have quite literally taken it for a drive, as in they they drag it on the floor, they throw it out the car, all this stuff, and it still works. They're pretty robust things, so yes. Voila, done. So now, first things first, if you have cable management holes, use them, okay? Stops dust getting attracted. As you can see, there's still some dust in my system, but a lot less than there would be. Doesn't interrupt airflow as much, although that's not a massive issue these days. Most things cool themselves pretty realistically, unless you have something like AMD. They do throw out a lot of heat, so drink a coffee. So if you do have AMD, just be a little bit more wary about your airflow. So in this case, I have two at the bottom here. Once again, you guys can't see. I keep forgetting that I'm doing this on a video. So you throw it in here, and you put it through the nearest one. Now I can either bring it from top down, or I can bring it from the rest card. I'm going to bring it from top down. There's a couple of things in the way. Always, like I said earlier, always check where you're pushing and poking, because you could pretty easily break something. Okay, and once again, checking where it's going, 100% of the way. Now, on my motherboard, the clip is on the right hand side, so you want the clippy bit thing to be on the right hand side. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a U-bend with it, so it goes like that. Make it look quite flush, and then push it in until you hear a click. I can't hear a click. You have to be careful that you don't break your motherboard. Okay, that was a quiet one there. And use your fingers to just give a check to make sure it is fully seated in, because you have a lot of wattage going through that. So you make sure you do that. That's now done. Now for the CPU. That was me just doing a quick size check, because I have to make sure it runs all the way from down here to up to the top right. So I'm going to push it out the middle right hole, checking where it goes obviously. Pull it all the way through, as much slack as you can get without damaging the wire or anything else in the process. Pop out the top hole. Some motherboards, some PC cases rather, don't have top holes in top right. Sometimes they have ones in top middle, but find what works for you. Sometimes in previous cases I've had it go across like this over the graphics card. Anyway, this now plugs in. You guys made me do this. You knew I hated this. You made me do it anyway. Let's see how it is. So if I remember rightly, the clip is at the top. There it is. So let's have a little look. Sometimes it'd be helpful to get a light in there and make sure you're not pushing the wrong thing. But a little bit of a click there. Normally a little bit louder. Not sure what that's about. So now you need to figure out what cables you need, and this is like the main part of the video for most people here. So you've got all the cables, and throw them. You don't care. No, you do care. So luckily my brother kept all the cables. Thank God for that. He had them all plugged into the power supply unit, even though he wasn't using all of them. Good way to keep them, I guess. So this here says, I'm just going to clarify with the other ones. Aye, on the other ones too. This here says type 3 on it, okay? Camera type 3, cool, type 3. 8 pin, one's not there. And it goes to 1, 2, 6 plus 2 pin PCI, okay? So this is really meant for like a graphics card or a PCI card which sits here, and it'll go into one of those. So what you want to do, is you want to find them on the power supply unit where the corresponding one matches up to. So in this case it's the top right one. and you can use cable management or you don't. It's up to you. So just to confirm for you guys, PCIe. You got all the holes here. Okay, you got an 8 pin here and an 8 pin above it. It's a 6+2 and 4+4. So 4+4 CPU, just in case you need a second one, and it's a PCI. Okay, so you use that one as PCIe as well. So if you have, like me, 2 holes on your graphics card, you're going to need to plug just one in this case. But if you had a second graphics card, you need to plug it in the bottom there. Okay, and then the peripheral and SATA use the other ones, which are 6 pin slots. Cool, cool. Glad you got that. So back to here. Used it plugged in. Sometimes they don't always sit together, but you put them in, hold the machine, apply some force, you wait for the click happens, it's good to go. You do the same with the other one. Now it's up to you how you prefer it, but you can, obviously, like I said, you can cable route it through these holes, but I'm going to tear this apart after, so it's not a massive issue for me, but I would, because I like my computer to look pretty. It has a glass side. I like to look through it, and I like to think of all the money I spent and what I could have bought with it. And I'm having a little bit of problems with this one, so I'm just going to make sure that everything's good. Yeah, it's just being rather frustrating. Click, done. That's the graphics card installed. Now, this is the next one we need, because we need 2 SATA connections here. We don't need any Molex. But here we go. This is a 6 pin that will plug into. This also says Type 3, so my bad actually. Type 3 is for all of them. I'm guessing it's a style of power supply. Type 3 goes into the peripheral and SATA. Show you guys. So here, I'm going to plug it into the top one. It would be better if I plugged them into the bottom one, but you can probably see the top one a little bit better. Probably can't see it at all. But you plug it in just like it was you wait for the click as well. Little click, done. Oh, I've got a cramp. There we go. Okay. And then you pass the ribbon through the back. So I'm going to pass it through the bottom right cable management hole. Like I said, if you don't have them, you just find a different route for it. There's no set way of cabling your computer. There's a set way of plugging them in, but no way you can plug them in which way you like. So I wanted to go in the SSD and also this one. Best idea here is to go for the furthest away one. Plug it in, make sure it's correct. These are L-type holes, okay? I don't know if you can see that. They're L-type holes. And so there's L-type male parts to it. You need to make sure they're correct. In this case, I need to orientate this the other way. Plug it in. This one's a little bit resistant, but as long as the pins are connected, they will still make contact and still current will go past. And then you do the same for the hard drive. Make sure the connector's right way around. Plug it in, a little bit of a click that time. Voila, job done. Now, that is literally everything you need to do for it. At this point, you put the panel back on, you put the other panel back on, you plug in well, we call it kettle plug over here in England, but you plug in the cable at the back. Make sure your power supply unit's turned on with a switch at the back, and you turn it on and all's good. Now, I've heard a couple of people complaining about this particular power supply unit. However, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not a cheap, well, it is a cheap, but it's not massively cheap style power supply unit. There are a couple of problems with them that I've heard of online. None of mine have been ever affected by any of the problems. You got coil noise, which is just basically the fan making noise, but you get that. I mean, you get that with graphics cards as well. That's a luck of the draw style thing. You like, there's many people complaining about it. I've never had a problem, and that's why I'm doing this video now. If I had a problem with it, I wouldn't recommend it, but I've never had a problem. I recommend it. It's Corsair, trusted brand. If you're running something like this would still be okay, because actually this system only draws about 350, 400 watts from the wall. So this isn't under much strain as a 750 watt power supply unit. But if I was drawing near to 750, go with something A, either a little bit bigger in the wattage, or B, something a little bit more quality. So this is a lot more expensive, but it's a lot better quality. So, you know, pick and choose, pick and choose. But there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.